Look what I've got, another barn owl box, and the guy I'm working for called Paul is aware that there's barn owls in the area, so he's very kindly bought an owl box. I'm going to stick it up here for him, and I just thought I'd film it, and if you want to watch you can. So this area, believe it or not, I found an owl pellet a little while back, and I did a video. I'll put a link in the description to that video. And so we know we have barn owls around here, and this is a great spot because, just grab the camera, all round there is a big open grassland, which is like perfect territory for barn owls. So, and normally barn owls love to like nest in barns or in old abandoned buildings, but there's not enough of those, and sometimes in big holes in old trees, but there's a real lack of old trees. So we've got this box, and I'm going to stick it up. It's nice to do it with a bit of help sometimes because they're quite big, but I'll be all right. So I'm just putting, a lot of these boxes come partly assembled because they've got to post them, so I'm just putting another side on here. These sides are very often detachable, so you can take a look inside to see if you've got any activity, like keeping the damn grey squirrels out. But barn owls have a sort of a hunting range of about between 1 and 3 kilometres, something like that. And then in the winter, and if they're feeding their young, they'll go further away, like 5 kilometres plus. And they're territorial. They hold their territories. They don't have that bigger territories. And it's winter now. The best time to put an owl box up is yesterday. The best time to put any box up is yesterday. And some owls do actually, especially youngsters, they might move around a bit from their home sites. And we often get barn owls, some barn owls might move a little bit south where it's a little bit warmer in the winter, but not by much. So we do get sort of more in the winter. So this is where the box is going. So I have a habit of resting it on my ladders. It's very rare you tick every box when it comes to installing a nest box. There's always like a bit too much sun, a bit too much wind. But this is a pretty good spot facing open grassland. And I've just got to try and get it tight up here. It's really tricky, but at least I've got a nice fixing into oak, because sometimes they're on top of a pole or something. And oh, this is really hard to do whilst filming as well, but I thought it'd be nice to do a video where I'm just doing it live and raw, you know. You see the struggles of the things I get up to. It's lucky I've got these skills and tools and the know-how to do all this kind of stuff, because I am a tradesman, so I've got lots of tools and knowledge and thinking on my feet doing stuff like this. So I've got one screw in and that's holding it for now, and I'm screwing into oak, so I've got some really good quality screws. In a minute I'm going to stick the landing pad on here, and I've stuck it up tight as I can under this soffit. Barn owl boxes are good if they're sort of, I think it's around 3 metres or higher. You might often see those triangular ones in the middle of the fields. They're quite exposed as well. So they don't actually have to be that high. It is quite important that they're level. And go to the other side now. Oh, I'll grab the camera and bring it up with me. So I have like thought about this, you know, I might look like I'm really quick at putting up boxes, but I've sort of kind of thought where I'm going to do it. So yeah, great open grassland. Of course, barn owls hunt primarily using sound, and they're silent in flight. They're amazing. So I'm just getting my fixings up here. They are also thought to be largely white birds of prey because they actually open their wings up and reflect. They can reflect the moonlight onto the ground to try and make it a bit easier to see. And barn owls' eyes are so big, like many nocturnal creatures. They have really big eyes, and that's because they need to be able to see in the dark. And their eyes are so big that they can't move their eyeballs in their sockets, which is why they're capable of turning their heads right the way round. because imagine hunting and looking around and not being able to move your actual eyes. You have to move your head all the time. Well, that's what it's like for barn owls. So I've got these fixings in nice and strong. And I've got my level here as well. How level's that? Not very. Shift it around, get it nice and level. There you go. And then now what I'm going to do before I pinch it up tight is I'm going to fix the bottom screws in. Well, it's a lovely winter's day today. It's not long until Christmas as well, so I'm in sort of wind down mood at the moment. But any opportunity, now Paul is a really nice guy who's decided to buy this barn owl box because they're not cheap, and he wants to help wildlife. And when you see something as majestic as a barn owl on your land, you really should be helping them out. They're incredible birds. When I was a kid, I used to see barn owls on my paper round. They used to fly over, and they're just incredible, you know, they're so silent. There's my level. They're so quiet how they fly around. And I see a few this year, and this, where I am now, isn't far from where I installed an owl box a little while ago. So, really helping out the owls in this area. I'm in the village of Minster, and we're not far from Minster Marshes, which is great habitat for owls out there. Owls like sort of rough grass, and they're hunting little voles and shrews and things like that. And they lay their eggs. An interesting thing about barn owls is they lay their eggs and start incubating them straight away. Many birds might lay their eggs and then wait till they're all laid before they start incubating. So they might lay 1 or 2 a day and then incubate them at the same time, and this means they all hatch at around the same time. But barn owls actually lay an egg, incubate it, and what happens is you have big baby barn owls and little baby barn owls, and it's a case of survival of the fittest. And very often the little ones, the runts, if there's not enough food, the little ones will die, and the other siblings will eat the dead barn owl chick. Yeah, that's it. Pretty brutal. And there was even on Springwatch, on one of the wildlife cameras this year, they actually filmed a barn owl just straight up grabbing a small chick and feeding it. I think it swallowed it, ate it. And the way owls eat things like that, they don't chew them up or pull them apart. They hold them in their gizzard and crush them down, and then they cough up the fur and the bones, and they digest the rest of it. That's up, that's nice and solid now. So we've got the landing platform to put in now, which is really important to put in. If you haven't seen a barn owl before, make the effort. It's not easy, but if there's any way you know where they are, and Minster Marshes is a good place for them, get out at night. Where was I recently? I was down Minster Marshes at the Triple SI site that's under risk from development of National Grid, the converter station. I was there, I think, last Friday night, documenting the light pollution down there. It's really bad. And I had some, I think there were short-eared owls, because it's dark when you see them, so it's always quite hard. Yeah. So I'm going to stick this landing platform in. Like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll do all the finishing touches in a minute, just making sure it's all secure. But there you go, one barn owl box. How about that? So we'll keep an eye on it. As I say, with barn owl boxes, I've said before, you might get grey squirrels in there. They're a real nuisance. Grey squirrels are a really big problem, and they'll fill this with their what they call a dray, fill it with nest material. And you might get stock doves in here, and you might get kestrels in here. But you know, hey ho, so be it. Eventually, barn owls will find it, and they'll look after it. So this is how the end panel comes off, and you can see inside just like that. There's a hole. So you can come up here and inspect it. Of course, if you have got an active barn owl nest in there, it's actually against the law to disturb it. So this is why we've put this owl box on the very back of the building, where no one's going to go and come round and make any noise or disturb it, because the barn owls will actually be in there during the day, and they might go in there in the winter to kind of roost. I just heard a little owl. The camera wouldn't have picked it up. but they'll mainly only be in here in the springtime raising young. So there you go, one barn owl box. How about that? Well, hope you enjoyed that nice simple video watching me put out a barn owl box. Get wild.